Episode 122, Real Expectations. Raiding the Kingdom is back. Another break in our off-season time, but it's training camp. We've got me, we've got Coach, and we also have a very special guest for all of Raider Nation out there. We've got Kenny King Jr. from Real Talk, formerly with RC, if I'm correct.
And started out with him.
That's kind of how I first started listening to you guys. And Real Talk, PWFA member, and you're writing for Vegas.
Vegas Sports Today, yeah.
Vegas Sports Today, awesome.
Yeah.
So Kenny King, obviously, there's a lot of Raiders media guys out there that we want to talk to. The list gets slimmer and slimmer as you look for who's kind of been around the longest and who's kind of been a Raider fan, not since Derek Carr came on, not since Rich Gannon came on, but you kind of have a unique background where your dad is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. So if I got it right, you've been a Raider fan since birth.
Since before birth, really.
Since before birth.
Yeah, I mean, since I came out, it's been silver and black in my blood. So
I love that. And Coach had a question, I think, about your dad's words about some of the rest of the AFC West.
Yeah, so your dad being a Raiders legend, who does he? What team does he hate the most? Does he hate my Chiefs the most? Does he hate because the Chargers? I feel like we don't even pay attention to. But is it the Chiefs or is it the Broncos? Which one is on his hit list the most?
For him, it's the Broncos. He lived in Denver for a number of years, and so his ex-wife is a Bronco fan. Her family are Bronco fans. Living in Denver, working with a bunch of Bronco fans, you build that hatred. For me, it's a little bit more the Chiefs, just because I did live in Kansas for a period of time, and I was around a lot of Chiefs fans. But yeah, for him, it's the Broncos for sure.
Okay. I can accept that.
Beautiful. So there you go. So Kenny still hates you the most, but his dad hates you less.
Actually, I hate Charger fans more than anything at this point right now, because they're few, but they're loud and they're obnoxious for a team that's never done anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
They got a set of balls on them, that's for sure.
If you happen to find the one or two that are out there, then yes, yeah, bolt up, yeah. So Kenny, we'll get kind of right into it. So training camp for the Raiders has actually not been too drama-filled, I'd say, as far as past training camps have gone. The AB episode was, I think, enough for all of us for maybe a decade. Yeah. But right now, the main topic of discussion is Josh Jacobs, and then Devontae kind of weighed in on that today. What's been your stance on pay reasonably? What do you want them to do with JJ over there?
I think you have a difficult situation when you have a running back that is of the caliber of Josh Jacobs, because he's, in that top 3, top 5 running back slot, where this is one of the guys that you want to see get paid. It's also one of the guys that you don't want to see get paid a ridiculous amount of money, because we know what happens when you pay running backs a lot of money. Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon kind of held out and kind of screwed himself on that. Todd Gurley got paid and had a deteriorating knee. You had CJ2K. Like, the list goes on and on with all these guys, where there's horror stories from when running backs got paid. Josh is one of those guys that doesn't have a ton of wear and tear on his body, but he does have some injuries plagued in the beginning of his career. Last year was the first full season that he played. But, I want to see him get paid. I want to see, he embodies what, being a Raider is. He embodies that Raider Nation spirit. He runs like a Raider. He plays like a Raider. He trains like a Raider. He's a leader on the field. He's somebody who wants to be there. He's been very vocal about his want to be there. And it's not one of those cliche things saying, I want to be a Raider for life, just to get a deal done. Like, he wants to be a Raider for life. And so, I would like to see him, be a Raider, lock his contract up, and continue to use him in his prime. Do I think he's not going to be there? I think he'll be there. I don't think you're going to leave $10 million on the table. I think that he's trying to work something out and have a guarantee almost that next year there will be something that gets done in the long term.
For sure. Now, we had JT the Brick on, what was it, a month or two ago? And it was phenomenal. He got me pretty pumped up. I kind of came back to life, down to earth a little bit, back out of that. But I talked to him about whether or not we were kind of, I don't want to say wasting him in his prime, because he had a career year last year, but how much longer are we going to be able to hold on to Devontae Adams before, I don't know. If the season goes up, then he could be juiced and want to hang out. But I see already a difference between him. He had Carr last year. I'm having the time of my life in Vegas. What do you think now? Is he going to be the same level of investment, or should we be a little wary? What do you think?
I don't think we need to worry about Devontae. Devontae had said when Carr got traded that he was a Raider fan first, that, he wanted to come to the Raiders, whether it was with Derek or not. He had the sign off on who the next quarterback was. So, obviously he was behind Jimmy G coming in. I'm sure that Josh McDaniels has a plan. Hopefully he has a plan. But I think that we don't have to worry about Devontae as much as the fan base wants us to worry about Devontae. I think that we've been burned by so many receivers in our history with AB, with Javon Walker, with Andre Rison. There's been just the list goes on and on. There's been Randy Moss. There's been so many guys that have kind of burned us that we have PTSD. And so, as Raider fans, we are always weary of that. We're always concerned about that. But I think this might be the one time where we don't have to have a concern because he did say that he wants to retire a Raider. So I think that we'll be okay with Devontae.
I'm hoping you're right. And I do agree. I think there's a bit of a difference there where as far as the diva number one receiver goes, he's not the guy that I would ever characterize as that. He's not in there talking about, he'll admit, I'm the best out there, but it doesn't go beyond that. I don't think we have like Odell type grandiosity with Devontae Adams. And now, so training camp's kicked off. Things are going down. It's a lot of reports, some video footage, maybe not as other teams. What's getting you excited? What's getting you nervous? What are the two things in those categories?
One of the things that gets me excited is just the addition of Marcus Peters to the secondary. I think bringing him into the secondary adds a whole nother dimension. And Coach, you know how good Marcus can be and what what he can do.
Sorry, when he signed with the Raiders, and I was obviously text with Brennan all the time. It was just such a Raider move. I know he grew up in Oakland, so it's like a homecoming. Obviously for him, obviously it's in Vegas now, but he definitely embodies that old school Raider attitude. So if there's anybody on the team, him being a former Chief, I wish him the best. It's not obviously against us, but I think it's definitely a good move for him.
Yeah, it's a solid move for him. He's coming in, he's rocking that 2-4, so that number means a lot. And for the past couple of years, it hasn't meant a lot. With Jonathan Abram wearing that, and John Gruden putting lofty expectations on him. You got a true corner coming in wearing 24, and we haven't had that in a very long time. And so him coming in, bringing in that excites me. Just the level of intensity that he's already brought to the defensive backfield. We heard about the defense just getting after it, and I think it's been like 8 picks in practice, which every other year we're hearing the offense is just shredding the defense apart. So it's nice to hear that the defense is doing well. I'm not so much concerned about Jimmy's picks in practice because he's gonna take shots. He's gonna take he's gonna try opportunities, and this is the time to do it. I would rather him try it in practice than try it in the game and figure out what works for him. But defensively, I'm liking what I'm hearing on the defensive side of the ball. I also like that Byron Young is coming back. So he came back in practice for the first time today. I want to see what he brings to the table. I said on my podcast that I have some questions around Neil Farrell Jr. Because I feel like he's a guy that could be on the bubble and could be on the cusp of not making the team just because, last year he was a healthy scratch in a lot of games. And, with the addition of Byron Young and Jerry Tillery coming back, there may not be room for him.
So would you say the defensive tackle position is on a level of concern for you, or just kind of keeping an eye on where that is?
No, defensive tackle is not a level of concern. The only level of concern right now is linebacker. I feel like they're not quite there on linebacker. I mean, they've got Divine Diablo, you have Luke Masterson, you brought in Robert Spillane, but is that enough? All offseason long, I was pounding the table for the Raiders to go out and get Patrick Queen, try to trade for him, try to get what they can for him. He's not happy there. We need the help. But I don't know if we're set at linebacker yet, and that's my biggest question mark.
And then you look at speaking of linebacker, the Eagles make that move to get Cunningham and Miles Jack on like super affordable deals, and you think like, wow, like even the Chiefs we're set at linebacker, I think, but for you guys, that's the perfect situation. 1-year deals for those guys, and when you have a Super Bowl team, you also have the ability to sign guys on a cheaper deal. It's when you're third in the division, it's a lot more difficult to sign people. So that's kind of where it comes into play. If the Raiders want to start making moves like that, they got to start winning, and it starts with being at least splitting with KC.
I mean, when it comes down to it, quite frankly, you have to win one of those 2 games. You know you're going to sweep the Broncos. You know you're going to split with the Chargers. You got to at least split with KC to get second place.
Yeah, 100%. And the funny thing is, so you brought up Marcus Peters, and that was going to be a point I was going to make later on. I was listening to Q from Raider Nation Radio, who we actually met out at the draft, and he was playing some sound bites from Marcus Peters, and I was kind of surprised because I didn't expect him to come in and really want to do the dirty work of being the OG and being the leader. But it sounds like he's like all for it, and it sounds like he's getting them amped up, and he's yelling at Jimmy G, and he's getting Nate Hobbs back, it looks like back in the slot, which is good for us because outside wasn't really the deal for him. But when they signed him, I was afraid it was kind of going to be like a Bruce Irvin taking over for Khalil Mack type thing, and you know how that ended out. So the fact that he's rising to the occasion, he's welcoming being the leader. Like his cousin Marshawn didn't really want to do that. He was kind of like, yeah, I'm not really about this. So the fact that he wants to is outstanding. So I'm good with that. Yeah. And then the only thing I'm curious about, and I guess I could say nervous, is we all know Jimmy doesn't have a great deep ball, and you were seeing him throw some deep shots to Devontae, but it was taking a lot out of him to do so. It seemed like even though they brought him in to run this, Patriot system, the McDaniels way, whatever you want to call it, he seemed to still favor some deep shots last year. Like I think a lot of us lost our mind on a couple 3-and-1s where he wanted to chuck it. And I mean, that one play against the Chiefs, it worked out and it was beautiful, but I don't know if Jimmy's gonna be able to deliver on that. So I don't know if we're going to see a system change or if you have any idea on what that's going to be.
Yeah, that's the biggest question mark, because we know that Jimmy's deep ball isn't the prettiest. And that's one of the things that Derek was really good at is the deep ball. And a lot of people say, well, he's checked down Carr, but Derek had a great deep ball when he threw it. The question is, can Jimmy throw it? What's going to be the scenarios in which he does it? He does have time. The offensive line has gotten better. They were a top 15 unit last year. So the offensive line's not a big question right now. The question is, can Jimmy throw it? And, Jimmy's going to have the time to do it, but, will he be able to do it? I know there's going to be a lot of short and intermediate routes. I think you're going to see a lot more Hunter Renfrow this year. But I think it's going to be a lot more yak that we're going to be seeing. So you're going to see Devontae getting yards after the catch. You're going to see, Trey Tucker probably getting in the mix a little bit, Jacoby Myers in there as well. But I don't think that we're going to see a lot of the deep shots that we saw last year with Derek Carr and even with Jarrett Stidham.
Agreed. And it seems like him and Jacoby, which we kind of thought about, and I was concerned he could be taking snaps from Hunter, but it looks like he's here to stay. But Jacoby and Jimmy supposedly are already on the same page. Now, kind of like a little bit of a rewind. So, like I said, Coach and I went to the draft. Q kind of hooked us up, and we met Tyree Wilson and got to shake those monster paws, which are nothing like mine. And he's just a massive human being. So I was really excited when, we met him and we got to hear him talk, and he seems like a solid dude. Disappointing he's not on the field now. Who were you looking for at pick 7? Because I had a couple other ideas as well.
Yeah. Oh, man. I totally threw the draft out of my head.
I rewinded you back hard, I know.
Yeah, but Jordan Davis was the guy that I really wanted. I think that was, one of the guys that I had high on my list. CJ Stroud was a guy that I wanted. I wanted the Raiders to jump up and get him. I was even looking at Bryce Young. I was heavy on quarterbacks, looking at, okay, look, we moved on from Carr. Like, let's start fresh. Let's do something new. Let's bring in a guy that, that is going to be exciting. And then, I look at this Texans draft where they get Will Anderson, and then they go and get CJ Stroud. I'm like, crap, these guys are getting all the guys that I wanted,
right.
And so, for me, I really wanted a quarterback. CJ was my number one. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know much about Tyree. Watched some film on him. The dude can play. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. He has all the attributes that you want in a defensive end, except for being on the field. So I just want to see him get on the field and get after it and see what he can do. And I'm excited to see what he can do with Max and Chandler.
Right. Yeah, I was kind of the same boat as you. So I wanted CJ Stroud pretty badly. And, well, we're in there in the media room and Bryce Young goes off the board. I already start loading up my tweet for when they pick CJ and trade up and blow my mind. And, of course, that didn't happen. Like, all right, Jalen Carter. It's going to be Jalen Carter because he kept falling and falling and falling. And Coach texted me, sorry, dude. What the hell happened? And then I saw that we ended up with Tyree. So, like, I'm happy with Tyree, but the injury obviously you want to see your first round pick on the field. and we're just not seeing that right now. So some guys are skeptical he's even going to be ready for week 1, week 4, that we may not see him till October. I mean, it is what, obviously we have Chandler Jones there, so you kind of wonder if he's kind of brought in to be the future at the DN position when Chandler moves on, or what have you. That contract's not easy to move on from if that's in their plans. But
but if you have a top 10 pick, you don't want a guy sitting out until October.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you have a top 10 first round pick, you want that guy playing immediately. You want that to be an impact player. If a top 10 pick should be automatically a candidate for, offensive or defensive rookie of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. Coach, you had something?
Yeah, I had one draft question. And I thought you guys had got great value on this individual in the second round with Michael Mayer. How have you thought he's done in camp? I did my first dynasty fantasy draft this year, and I drafted him. And I was excited about him because I think he's a Notre Dame guy, just a big target, and obviously getting rid of Waller, there's an open spot there at the tight end position. What are you hearing, or what are you thinking about him? How has he been doing in camp, and what do you think of his future?
So I hear he's an absolute unit out there. I heard that, he's basically he's giving him hell. Max has been giving him a hard time and giving him some welcome to the NFL moments. But he's a guy that just goes out there and works his tail off every single play. He's got, great hands. He's not dropping anything. He's going to be a big red zone target. I think that he's going to be a guy that, Jimmy's going to be able to rely on. We saw that Jimmy loves his tight ends. We saw what he did with George Kittle. And so I think that, you bring in another big body like Michael Mayer, a guy who can block, a guy who can catch, who can run downfield. He's not the fastest, but he's got that game speed. It's like Gronkowski, where, he's not fast, but he's athletic enough to where he can make you miss, or he could just, run you over. So I'm excited about him. I'm hearing a lot of buzz out of him in training camp. He's picking up the offense pretty quickly. And, I think that he's going to be an instant starter.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that was a great pick. I was looking, even KC, I was looking at someone like him for them to get an heir apparent to man beautiful Travis Kelce. But yeah, the Raiders got to get on with that. I'll say that. I think they definitely got better value out of him than maybe they got Tyree right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Line of time out for that.
So Kenny, this is your first time on the show, but Eric has he doesn't like to call it a crush, but his obsession with Travis Kelce.
I have a man crush. I'll admit that.
Okay, you'll admit it. Oh, you'll admit it now. Okay.
Like a lot of other Chiefs fans have man crushes on Travis Kelce.
Those are usually women, though, I think.
Well, when I said a man crush, I
gotcha. All right.
At least it's not a man crush on Jackson Mahomes.
Yeah,
no. Eric does not defend Jackson.
No.
Good.
Yeah.
Nobody should defend Jackson.
And I was happy to see he did not make an appearance in the quarterbacks season, which was outstanding, by the way. But,
thank God.
Yeah.
Brittany's bad enough.
Yeah. You can defend her? Or no, do you have to defend her?
I mean, that's the chosen one's wife, so I have to defend that to an extent. But if she just, there's like a mute button and she just did that, that's cool. But sometimes
because Patrick's likable. Pat's likable, and that's what I hate. I hate the fact that he's likable because he's a Chief, and I don't want to like him. Right. But it's like Tony Gonzalez. Like, I liked Tony Gonzalez, but I just hated the fact that he was a Chief.
I mean, when Kermit the Frog can ball like that, you know what I mean? It's not to like him.
I mean, it's like you're like, what is how? How
does he do this? Yeah. It's mad in real life for sure.
I loved Eric Berry, but I hated him. He was outstanding to watch. But I hated him. Yeah, it was a very, very tough thing to deal with. And Marcus Peters, actually, after that scuffle in the Thursday night game, which we won, by the way, I was like, I'm done with this dude. I cannot stand him. And then here he is, a Raider now. But it makes total sense. It's come full circle.
Yeah.
Now, we'll get back out of the draft. We'll go into 2023. So I don't know if I've missed it. I tried to tune into your show, but have you given your official prediction for the record for 2023?
Yes, it's Super Bowl. No, I haven't given my official prediction. This team could go one of two ways. This could be a team that just shocks everybody and they do end up making it to the Super Bowl in Vegas, or this is a team that just disappoints everybody and they go 4-13. I don't feel like there's an in between. I feel like this is a team that, it's all or nothing. And I think that if you have Jimmy G stay healthy, If the defensive guys continue to play at the rate that they're doing in practice, they start getting after it. If you have the split with KC, or if you run the table in the AFC West, I can see this team being 10-7, 11-6. But I can also see this team, resting on their laurels, and it's really going to come down to week 1. You go into Denver week 1, you set the tone right there. Do you want to continue? You want to continue on this 3-year sweep that we have of the Broncos and take it into 4 years? Or are you going to go into Denver and be like, oh, it's the high altitude and I can't deal with this and I can't and make all these excuses and go out there? So I think week 1 sets a tone. I don't care about the preseason. We went 4-0 in the preseason last year. So that means nothing to me. What I care about is week 1, getting out there and setting the tone. And if they do that, then it's going to be a successful season.
100%. And that's something I brought up a little bit ago is the nation going to mutiny if Jimmy's first game is a snap on our 6-0 streak against the Broncos? Because that's really all we have right now. And I'm fine with that. But it kind of reminds me when, the first game in the new stadium was Derek against the Saints. And, now he's the head coach of the Broncos. Why am I blanking on his name? What the hell's his name?
Sean Payton.
There we go. And, Carr wrote it on the wall. We took him out. And I remember how upset he looked. And now we have Sean Payton again with a new regime, a new quarterback. So I'm hoping for Jimmy's sake that we come out with a win that week.
We're going to see if Russell Wilson is really cooked or if it was just Nathan Hackett.
Right. Yeah. Or if he's ready to ride against us.
I personally think he's cooked, but
yeah, I don't think we're going to see much of it. I mean, I don't think it's going to change now. If he's been around long enough, you're not going to change this way through it.
No.
And then we'll let kind of Coach get in on here because this is a Raiders Chiefs rivalry podcast.
Right.
Coach.
And
ask Kenny and he'll give you
one
a
thing
real.
we just say about Russ, whether he's cooked or not, he goes home to Sierra every night. So, you know what?
On the subject of Brittany, you're saying that there's a
Sierra. I mean, it's hard to top that. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs this year? Are you and obviously in unbiased, put away your hate, or your disdain, and what are you thinking this year with them? As far as are they the kings of the AFC as per usual, or do you think they're going to take a step back this year?
I mean, I personally don't see a team right now that can take the Chiefs out in the AFC. We look around. Cincy, they didn't really do much to get better. Buffalo, they didn't do much to get better. Baltimore, they did. They add some pieces. You add in Odell Beckham. You bring in some help. But is it enough? Can Lamar get over that hump? So those are the big question marks right there, right? Like, the Jets, I think the Jets are kind of the biggest what if, or, what's going to happen because they add all this talent. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, you bring in, Randall Cobb, you bring in all of his buddies. Can they play together? Because we saw when the Eagles did it with their quote unquote dream team back in 2011, I believe it was, you have all these superstar names, but you have guys that can't play together. And with the Chiefs, last year, I was like, okay, Tyreek's gone. That they're going to get exposed. Pat Mahomes is going to get exposed because he doesn't have his guy in Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce's not going to have as much success because he's not going to be able to go out there and do all this stuff because he has because he's got Tyreek Hill. And then the Chiefs just figured out, hey, we don't need Tyreek, and went on and won the Super Bowl. So I think that we look at it this year. Until somebody knocks the Chiefs off, the Chiefs are still the team to beat.
Agreed.
I've been trying to hold my hat on that. This is like the worst receiving group that Pat Mahomes has had this time in the league. But then I think I said something similar last year too, because I didn't think Juju was going to do all that, and then he still does what he does. But I'm just hoping that we've learned our lesson in that 17-point lead, where I was just elated for the first half, and then I don't think I've ever been more demoralized after that one. And watching that on, like we said earlier, watching that on quarterbacks I love the ferocity from Crosby. I kind of thought Mahomes looked like a bit of a whiner, but anyways,
I'm right here.
I'm here. Oh God. But then the second half of that just killed my soul. So like you said, I'm hoping for at least 1-1 with them, but if we don't set the tone against the Broncos, I don't really know what else.
It would be good for content on your end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if it went 1-1, it's not just me gloating the whole time. It gets,
right.
It gets me old sometimes.
Well, I'm saying we talked last year how many of our episodes where we were both happy at the same time. I was happy 6 times. You were happy, 13?
Yeah.
And then obviously all the postseason coverage. Yeah. But yeah, and that's kind of really all we had for tonight. I just wanted, which rookie, I guess we won't say Tyreek because he's not on the field. Are you paying it? Are you calling your shot on that's going to be the biggest contributor for 2023?
Jacorian Bennett. I think Bennett's going to be that guy. I think Bennett's going to come out there. He's going to snatch the starting job, and he's going to be the guy.
So you stole my Marcus Peters bit, and then now you got Jacorian Bennett. But
I'm sorry.
They said the kid is a stud, and they said that he's just like soaking it all in for Marcus Peters, and he's like incredibly attentive and zoned in. He doesn't want to talk, even though I think they said they've given him a few media. They've asked him if he would do the media thing, and he just said, "I'm so zeroed in right now. Like, just let me stay where I am." And
well, he had a brief press conference, and they were like, well, what do you do? He's like, I'm out there asking questions all day. He's like, I asked Marcus how to, how he goes after getting interceptions, and I asked this and this, and he's like, I probably annoy the hell out of him, but he's like, I'm going to ask questions. He goes, and I love it. You have somebody out there who sees these veteran guys, who sees guys that have had success in this league, and he's not coming in as a rookie with his chest out. He's coming in as a guy ready to learn, ready to get after it, and I'm excited about it because he also gets to go against some great receivers in practice. I mean, you go against guys like Hunter Renfrow who run nasty routes. You go against Devontae, who's probably the best route runner in the league. Jacoby Myers, who's no slouch. And so you get out there and you have the ability to go out some good talent. And we're going to start seeing a little bit more. You have the joint practices with the Niners next week. You have the joint practices with the Rams coming up. So he's going to get it. He's going to get a couple looks, and I'm excited to see what he does this season.
100%. And on that note, I've seen you defending Hunter Renfrow out there hard against, I don't know if it was a Chargers fan or somebody, but you've been after
him. Chiefs fan.
Oh, of course, as a Chiefs fan. Yeah,
as a Chiefs fan. So I showed him cooking Travarius Ward.
There you go. I mean, 2021 is full of highlights. I don't know what else you need. The guy was injured last year, and people are questioning his route running. And you had Kenny Moore saying he's one of the best route runners in the league. And Kenny Moore was a top corner, so take it for what it is. But what you brought up too is playing against the 49ers, I think is probably one of the best tune-ups we need. So if our defense is looking sharp, their offense isn't, I wouldn't say it's explosive right now. Their quarterback carousel is a bit odd, but having Jimmy go against a defense he's familiar with, but is also the best defense he's probably ever had, is pretty outstanding. I saw the Jets are playing the Bucs right now, and I'm guessing their defense is probably going to have a good time with that one based on what we've seen so far. But I love that for the Raiders taking on St. Fran to get ready for the season. But yeah, man, that's about all we had for tonight. Ken, if you want to pitch everything you're on, because you're a busy dude, just for the people out there, once again, you're on. It's how often can they catch you on Real Talk?
So right now we got a weekly show. We're doing every Thursday night at 6 p.m. You can catch me anywhere on YouTube. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Facebook Live. Me and my boy Dustin, the Raider Way, we do a show every Thursday. Once season starts, we'll be doing spaces on Sundays after games. I'll also probably be throwing in another show, which will be sporadic in there with interviews and stuff like that. But you can find me, Real Talk Podcast. It's on every platform. KennyKingJr.com, and that'll give you access to all my socials. It's the easiest way to find me. It'll give you access to my link tree too, so you can pull everything up on there.
There we go. And for all you bettors out there, we have to do our pitch too. We're out there on Underdog Fantasy, promo code RTK. Match your bets up to $100. Give me and coach some funds to get Kenny back on here. He's an expensive guest. So, all right, we'll catch you all on our next episode, probably preseason. Thanks for coming on, Kenny.
I appreciate you guys.